Hello everyone, I'm Dragons After Dark, and it is Pet Battle Bonus Week, which means we are doing PvP Pet Battles After Dark. So it's been a while since I've done this, obviously, and because I was recording the battles during the day, I couldn't also record my audio because I had other people in the room. So I'm just going to do a voiceover of the video as it goes through. It's kind of hard to see in the Pet Battle Log Keeper here, but I did get 5 wins, 2 losses. My goal each time I do this, or each time I PvP Pet Battle, is to just get at least one more win than loss. I just want to come out above 50%, basically, is what I'm looking for here. For my first 2 battles, my first one was a win, my second one was a loss. Both of my losses today were a result of me not necessarily paying attention and making good choices, which, like I said, it's been a while since I've done this. I will not be showing my losses. I can in the future if you want me to, and I can go over why I did not succeed in those. But for right now, in this video, we are just going to go over the wins. The first battle I have up, I am using the Shimmerbow Hoarder, the Cobalt Ramolith, I think is what that one is, and the Speed Breed and the Primal Stormling. So my slot 1 and slot 2 pets stay the same for the entire video. I do change out my middle pet each time I got a loss. Alright, so this first battle, I'm going against the Echo of the Cave, one of the Minfernals, and the Sunborn Valkyr. I decided to go with my Shimmerbow Hoarder first because there isn't really anything that I would have been super strong against anyway with this. And I'm going to open with my Interrupt because that just makes the most sense. I don't know what they have as of yet. And I'm going to use my Dot. Unfortunately, this one does have the Beast ability slotted, which means it's going to take out my Shimmerbow Hoarder pretty quick. And because I know that it still has the immunity to stuns, I decided on my Nut Barrage just to get it down lower. And then I'm going to add another Dot here to the team with Wild Winds. And now just to give myself an extra round, I am going to bash. Let the dots hit it a couple times, and then I'm going to call lightning to add a little extra oomph to those dots. And of course, the magic pet does have that cannot hit them for more than 35% of their health, which I expected. However, I got a nice little crit there, and instead of attacking, they decided to set up their aura of immolation, which is not what I would have gone with there, but I'm not them. For this one, pretty much I'm just going to Wild Winds until a cooldown comes up, or I win, or I die. And then, of course, my Ramolith in the background does take, I believe, yes, I was checking the abilities. My Beast will take weak damage from their humanoid abilities, but I don't think it gets that far. Okay, and I'm passing because I don't want to actually swap. My health is so low, I'm just going to wait to see if I can win. And thankfully, the hit was pretty low, and I finished it off with Call Lightning. My next team setup is, like I said, I used the Shimmerbow Hoarder and the Primal Stormling as my slot 1 and 3 pets the entire time today. They were actually really good. They were pretty much like rock stars the entire day. The next pet I traded out because after my first win, I did get a loss with that. I believe it's the Cobalt Ramolith. I can check and make sure and correct that in the comments if I am wrong. I switched it out with the Molten Corgi. I am so excited that they are bringing it back for the anniversary because this is a handy little pet, not just for the many elemental family strategies it's in, but it has the option of the avoidance technique, which I use a lot here, and combining that later on with Call Lightning works really well until I think I hit the team where I got the loss. I can't quite remember why I got the loss there, except that I think it was because I didn't manage my abilities well. They had put up like Arcane Storm, and I completely blanked on the fact that my stun abilities weren't going to work with that up. And then at another point, after the lightning had changed, there was already like a stun and they had the immunity. So it was a mess. I totally fumbled that battle, hands down. But right after I changed, my first 3 battles with the Molten Corgi were wins. So let's go ahead and go over that now. Alright, so this team was the Pengu, the Lil KT, and the Father's Winter's Helper. So this one I totally messed up at the beginning, right? I wanted to keep my Shimmerbow Hoarder because I was pretty sure most of the abilities were going to be elemental. When they brought out their Father's Winter Helper, I should have just automatically swapped over to a different pet here, and I didn't, even though I was going to be doing weak damage and whatnot. And then to, like, you know, the icing on top of the cake was the fact that I completely missed every single one of my nut barrages there, and I should have just switched out at that point, but I didn't. And I don't think I do until after they hit me with the Call Blizzard, that's what it is. Call Blizzard, and then I'm like, okay, I need to just switch. And I switched to my Primal Stormling, mostly because the elementals mean I am not going to get hit with the extra Ice Lance. The elementals have that immunity to negative effects. So their Ice Lance only hits once. I'm going to stun them, and then I'm going to use... Oh, that's where it was. I tried the stun. They were immune because of the nibble. I totally messed that up. That's where that happened. This battle, I did not start off well at all. I think this one was sort of like skin of my teeth type of win. And that happens sometimes, right? Like, even though I'm dead and it's not looking great for me, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I can still pull out this win. I'm still trying. I'm not giving up. So we finish off the Father Winter Helper with the Flamethrower. And then they bring the Penguin in, and I was pretty sure that they were going to try and start off with Surge because it does strong damage against the Molten Corgi, but they didn't. They immediately tried to do the damage reduction on me, which means I am still at full health, and I start off with that, and they just keep attacking. I'm not sure if they don't know they can't hit me or if they're just running a script, which some people do on PvP. But what I really liked about the combo of the Primal Stormling is using Puppies of the Flame in conjunction with Call Lightning when it's up. Obviously, that doesn't really work if they have a pet that changes the weather. And I got lucky here because they use the ability that reduces my hit chance, and then they use Surge. But I still managed to hit. I don't think I got any misses despite having I think it's Slippery Ice. So here I'm just going to Flamethrower until I die or until a cooldown comes off cooldown, and hope that I manage to hold out and survive with my Shimmerbow Hoarder, because I do have all strong attacks against Lil KT with the Hoarder if I can manage to do enough damage with my Molten Corgi. And it's like, I am so like, I'm like edge of my seat here because I got so lucky that they used the dot and not like any attack here. So I was able to get my Puppies of the Flame up, even though the dot still killed me. The Puppies of the Flame is still up. Now, it doesn't give immunity to my Shimmerbow Hoarder, but it is just adding that nice little dot there for me to use. So with this, I kill Lil KT. And because all of the cooldown abilities do weak damage to my critter pet, I'm able to hold out. Plus, once an undead goes into their undead round or their immortal round, they have a reduction in damage. So that also helped me. And then because I have my interrupt, I can make sure they can't hit me with that howling blast and do any kind of big damage to me that might crit and then make it a draw. And that was my first win with the Molten Corgi. Now we're going into the second win with my Molten Corgi. This one was a little funky. It didn't transition or load screen because we're in Orgrimmar. And I had 2 of these battles where it was super weird. The Warcraft Rumble thing is in our way. Anyway, I don't know what I chose. Okay, I chose the Primal Stormling because I figured they were going to open with Anomalous. So what I want to do is I want to hit Bash to stun it, and then I'm gonna hit Wild Winds to get the dot up, and then I'm gonna hit Call Lightning to get them nice and low. Now, if I was them, I definitely would have started off with the dot here, but maybe they thought I was gonna use Sandstorm, which I was avoiding today. And then, of course, Wild Winds, I believe, takes out the Anomalous here. Yes, it does. Now, they bring in Shadow next, I believe. And we have a speed tie on this one, so it can get a little... We're basically rolling each round to see who gets to go first. I was lucky here with the blind because it's a 50% chance, I think, on the flash blind on whether or not you miss. I did miss with some of my dot hits, but I did manage to, I believe, not miss anything with my 1 Wild Winds, I believe, or my 2 Wild Winds that I did manage to get off. So, of course, because I want the speed win and because of the fact that Call Lightning's up, I was able to use Super Bark, which normally reduces the enemy down to 1, but because I have that lightning dot on there as well, that gives me the opportunity to get that bonus damage that obviously takes them below 0 and kills them. What I wanted to do here with the, oh my gosh, what is that? The Accursed Hexer, that's what it is. I can't actually read the screen. It's the Accursed Hexer. I wanted to set up the dot first and then add the dot of the Puppies of the Flame just to get them low and also kind of wait out the Super Bark cooldown. Of course, they're going to use Drain Blood on cooldown, which, of course. And they heal up, and then I use Super Bark, gets them pretty low, plus the dot. And now they've got the heal thing on them. But I believe I either win this round or next round. I think it's next round. Yeah, because they're doing weak damage with Chaos Beam against my elemental pet. And that was my second win with the Corgi. Now we're going into my third win with the Corgi. And this one, I feel kind of like they were expecting me to start with the Shimmerbow Hoarder because it's in my slot 1. But of course, I think they're going to start with, I believe that's Jump Jump, one of the new pets. And I'm like, okay, definitely going to start with the Primal Stormling, get that nice big hit from Call Lightning in on the beast pet, which takes out a lot of the health. And I'm not going to try and waste my bash on it just because it's pretty much going to be dead. And just like that, Jump Jump has unfortunately fainted. And okay, yeah, Drazkatet the Wrathful is what they brought in next. Now I'm going to use the stun to try and get some extra hits in on the undead pet, and then they swap it out. I can kind of understand the swap out, maybe, but they brought in the Sinister Squashling. I definitely would not have wasted the stun seed on this here because I'm expecting to die anyway. And even though Call Lightning does weak damage, you still see it took out a nice chunk of health there. And then I'm going to Wild Winds to finish off the Squashling, and then the stun seed kills me. Although I guess at that point they don't really have a choice. The stun seed was, or it was, they weren't going to survive anyway. Now, this one was kind of nice because I do have the Shimmerbow Hoarder, I do have the speed advantage here, and all of my attacks are going to be doing strong damage against Drazkatet because it's an undead and I'm a critter. Basically, because I know I'm doing a lot of strong attacks to Drazkatet, I don't know if that's how you say his name. I'm going to save my interrupt for the undead round, I believe. Oh, I did it on that round because it didn't matter. So I wanted to send them into the undead round. Normally I save my interrupt for the undead round, which I would have done if this was my final pet. I definitely would have saved it for the undead round, but I didn't need to. Okay, so at this point, I had my loss with the Molten Corgi because I completely fumbled with my stuns and the weather changing and whatnot. I went against, it was Zeradar, so the StarCraft pet guy, the Nexus Whelpling, and there was something else I can't see and I can't remember what it was. But yeah, I lost that one. I mismanaged it, and that was on me. Because I lost with the Molten Corgi, I changed my pet to the Teardrop Moth. The Teardrop Moth doesn't have like great speed or great power, so if it gets hit below 50%, it's not super useful, but it has a really good combination of Blinding Poison and Dust Cloud. And if you can stagger it right and you're not going against anything that's going to do really strong damage, so anything with magic attacks against you, you can have a really good turnout like I did in my last battle for my 5th win of the day. So let's go ahead and get into that. Yeah, this is where I ended up with the Warcraft Rumble table in the middle of everything. I figured they were going to start with the Unborn Valkyr, so I started with the Shimmerbow Hoarder. I know that they're probably going to do Curse of Doom, and they're either going to use Unholy Ascension or Haunt. So basically what I want to do here is I want to do as much damage as possible. I probably should have done Sneak Attack instead of Nut Barrage here, but you live and learn. And they haunt here. And so at this point, you know the Shimmerbow Hoarder's pretty much like kaput, right? Like the Curse of Doom's probably going to take it out because whatever comes up next is going to be hitting you. So you're just trying to get in as many attacks before you die as you can. And having these multi-hit attacks are really great with things like Decoy. So while I wasn't super thrilled with my lineup versus their lineup, except my Shimmerbow Hoarder versus the Unborn Valkyr, I was able to manage the win here. So I bring in my Primal Stormling, and I'm like, okay, first thing I want to do is I want to get some more dots up. And they switch out for the Mechanical Pandaren Dragonling, probably because they want the speed advantage here. And then they put up Decoy, and it doesn't do anything because it got hit by the dots and my attack. And they hit us with the, oh my gosh, Thunderbolt. And I decide I'm going to hit them with the stun. I don't know if they're going to swap or not. I don't think they do. I think they stay in. They do. So they just pass, and I hit them with Call Lightning, and that kills them. And then I think I survived this. I was like, phew, I survived. This dies from the wild winds and the lightning dot and everything else. So they're bringing the Dark Moon Zeppelin back in, and it's just basically wild winds until I die. I got a lucky crit here, which I was so thankful for, because the only pet I have left is my Teardrop Moth, right? So my Teardrop Moth is in, and I'm going to be doing weak damage. I've got magic attacks against a mechanical pet, and I'm like, great. So this is like really a crapshoot on whether or not I'm going to win this. And what I'm doing here is I'm staggering my blind with my avoidance technique. So I hit the blind. I've got one round to do an attack where they're not going to get me, and then I've got Dust Cloud, right? So I'm just staggering all of that. For some reason they swapped out, which was probably like the only reason I won. I'm not going to lie. And I'm like, okay, we're going to get the blind on the Unborn Valkyr to make sure they can't get any attacks in on me, because I don't know how much longer this is going to last. And I'm like, okay, we can definitely get this win. The decoys are on cooldown because I don't have any more dots up. And I'm like clicking furiously to get my dodge up. And then at this point, I know I'm going to win. I don't know if they're going to give up, but I'm just like, yes, I've dodged. Nothing can really hit me. Even if I kill them and then their bombing run hits me, I know I'm fine, even if it crits. And with that, I got my 5th win of the day. And like I said, I got 5 wins, 2 losses, which for me is really good. Normally, I just come out 1 ahead. So normally it'd be like 5 wins, 4 losses. So that was actually really good for me today. But how have you been doing this pet battle week? Have you come across a lot of those weather teams, like specifically Sandstorm and Anomalous and whatnot? Usually you're not going to see them both at the same time, because like Sandstorm completely cancels out dots, and that's kind of like Anomalous's thing. But what kind of teams have you been running this week? Have you had the same kind of success? Have you tried any of the new pets? The Cobalt Ramolith or whatever I used didn't get a super good showing here. I don't even think I used it in my first battle. But in the battle I did use it on, if I had managed my pets better, it would have been really good. So I was faster because I have a speed breed of it. I used Stone Skin, and then I would use Tough and Cuddly, and I was getting hit for like 79 damage. And then I was doing Trample, because that does 10% of their HP plus like a base amount. It probably would have done really well if I had managed things better, which I didn't, so that was on me. But like I said, how are you doing this pet battle bonus week? The queues seem to be popping off pretty good, so hopefully that lasts through the weekend for everyone who has to wait for the weekend to do it. And that's going to be it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a great rest of your day or night. And until next time, everyone, happy battling!